Good afternoon and welcome to the 145th edition of the Global Weather Report, live here from Mark Vogan Weather HQ in northern Scotland. How is everybody this afternoon? Have you had a good week? Are you enjoying your weekend so far? Obviously, we're 3/4 of the way through the weekend already. It's hard to believe that we've reached the 15th of June, midway point of June already, sixth month into the year. We're halfway through 2025. It really is quite remarkable when you think about it. So let me know in the live chat how you are doing this afternoon. I'm going to try and bring up the live chat and see who is on, who is the first person to join in. Thundersnow, I believe, is the first person to join us this afternoon. Good afternoon to yourself. Yes, cold Alaska, laugh out loud. We've actually got the heat warnings, heat advisories now actually in place for the Fairbanks area of Alaska. But that being said, it has been rather chilly in recent times. So yeah, we'll talk about that. We've got Yilin Ling tuning in as well. Good afternoon to yourself. Where are you tuning in from? Let me know in the live chat where people are tuning in from. Good afternoon to David Vogan, my dad down in Kirky. Hope you are well this afternoon. Hope the service went well this morning. I know you weren't at your own church this morning, but nevertheless, I hope things went well. Good afternoon to Hazel Kitching. Good to see you, Hazel. Hope life is treating you well at the moment. We've got Paul James as well. Thank you to Paul for tuning in and your ongoing support, Paul, with moderating the stream. I know Lindsay will be tuning in very shortly indeed. What is folks having for their Sunday dinner? We are having a roast pork dinner this evening, so looking forward to that a little while. Just had a couple of toasties, so that won't be getting eaten for a while yet. I would imagine we nipped in to see, and happy Father's Day to everybody, by the way, as well, and happy Father's Day to Dad down in Kirky. I was overseeing the father-in-law a little earlier, getting a little bit of a chat with him, so it was nice to see the in-laws over in Invergordon as well. So, let me just see here who else is tuning in. So you know the drill, but I'm going to say it anyway. Be sure to hit that like button. It is greatly appreciated. It is helpful. It helps spread Mark Vogan Weather through the YouTube platform. The channel is continuing to grow, and a massive thank you to everybody who perhaps has recently subscribed or is relatively new. Perhaps you're tuning in watching these videos, but you don't actually subscribe. It's absolutely free content 7 days a week. Each and every Saturday, we've got the Tropical Outlook looking at the global tropics, including the Asian monsoon. Obviously, the live stream every Sunday at around about 4 p.m. usually. And then Monday to Friday, we've got the European Outlook. So the channel is as busy as it is, normally. But it's continuing to grow. And, we're edging ever so closer to 8,000 subscribers here on the channel. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. It is much appreciated. Hazel saying, whether I am having a roast beef dinner. Beautiful, Hazel. You enjoy that roast beef dinner later on. So let me just see here if there's anybody else. So David saying, hello from a rather chilly Kirkintilloch. Interesting enough, we do have fresher winds coming in off the Atlantic after that surge of warm and humid. And then, of course, we had lots of thunderstorm activity, especially on Friday into Saturday morning. We will look at some of those images that have been sent through. Some very wild lightning actually across parts of northern France in particular. We're seeing some very beefy supercell thunderstorms, particularly so across the north of France over the Paris area, but also across the far southeast corner of England in particular. So Yilin Ling is tuning in from a cold Dublin. So thank you for letting me know whereabouts you're tuning in from. We've got 21 Celsius and fair down in Hampshire, where Paul James is. So, yes, a friend of mine going to a very warm France tomorrow, says David. beef stroganoff and rice is what David is having for his evening dinner. So you enjoy that as well, Dad. And let me just see here who else. We've also got our very own Braemar, Ballard, D-side and Donside weather tuning. Good afternoon to our friend Chris over in Aberdeenshire. It is good to see you on, my friend. And again, thank you very much for your ongoing support. So we'll do the usual. We'll kind of have a little bit of a chit-chat. That is what the live stream is all about. A little bit of interaction between myself and yourselves. It's good to answer a couple of questions if you've got any, and obviously looking through the various models as well. It does look as if we are going to see more surges of warm weather coming up. We do have a general overall higher pressure pattern, more in the way of drier than average, but drier than average doesn't necessarily mean completely dry. We are going to see rain, obviously. This is a different type of high pressure than what we've seen back during the spring season, where it was like essentially just a block of high pressure. The pattern throughout the northern hemisphere was actually really blocked up. And I think that was a side effect of that final stratospheric warming that was early in March. That was the second earliest final stratospheric warming. We see a final warming every year. The polar vortex collapses as the hemisphere starts to warm up, especially as you get the sun and daylight increasing with higher latitudes. You lose the polar vortex and then it rebuilds as you start to lose incoming solar radiation to the northern hemisphere. The far high latitudes starts to turn darker, and as a consequence it turns colder, and then the polar vortex starts to develop again as we move into the autumn season. So sorry, getting anxious, so hope they turn up. Says right, okay. Sorry. Got you in the car now. Sorry, I'm kind of just trying to catch up with what's being said. I think Hazel is waiting for her carer. So hopefully your carer will turn up shortly, Hazel. Right, okay. So we've got 15 concurrent viewers at the moment. Make that 19. Hit that like button. It would be appreciated. Had a cereal for breakfast, says David. Paul Farwell tune in. Good afternoon to Paul. Good afternoon, Mark. Sunny and breezy in Swindon. Good old Domino's for us today. Ooh, sounds good. A nice Domino's pizza is always good, I must admit, Paul. So I hope if you've not had it already, enjoy it. If you have, I hope it was nice. So let me just see here. Anyway, I don't know why I've actually brought this up here. This is a current visible satellite imagery looking over the North and South America, as well as the Atlantic, the eastern portion of the Pacific. We've got plenty of activity. We've actually had 4 storms so far in the East Pacific. If you didn't already, there was a 25-minute tropical outlook. It was the 4th of the season yesterday, so check that out. From yesterday, glory to Jesus. Good afternoon to yourself. It's nice to see you on today's stream. We've also got Carol. Hello from an overcast Stirling. Do you think we will get a dry Royal Highland show in Edinburgh this week? That is a very good question, Carol. Yeah, we'll have a look at a little bit in a little while. We'll have a look at some of the forecast output and see what it's showing. But certainly higher pressure is building in, Carol, as we progress through the course of this week. So hopefully the weather will settle down a little bit. We are going to see warmer temperatures also, but more in the way of sunshine, I think. But this high can have its issues in terms of position, frontal systems running around the top of the high. We also, by the way, have a couple of reports from the North Atlantic. Our very own Lisa Pattenden is taking a cruise up to Iceland. I think it is a little bit of a mixture of work and pleasure. I think she's going to be teaching some folks with regards to the best possible photography that you can get. So I think that is the purpose, I believe, of Lisa's trip. So before I forget, let's have a quick look and see what Lisa has showed me, sent in to me on Twitter. So I'll go in to my messages on Twitter and we'll pull up what Lisa has been sharing with us. So this is about 300, well, certainly when she sent me this, she was approximately 305 nautical miles off the south coast of Iceland. So what she says is, "Hiya, it's been a rocky road overnight. We're just hitting a calm. We had swells and force 4 winds overnight. It is easier laying down than standing up. Cold air was a must. The har filled in last night, and it provided moody pictures, which was fun. It's now clearing up, but still clouds everywhere. We're 302 nautical miles from Iceland." So this is a little video clip from Lisa looking from inside the boat. Certainly the waters look nice and calm, it must be said. So yeah, out in the big blue is Lisa at this moment in time on her way to Iceland. You can see this is our location at this moment in time, to the south of Iceland. So there we go. Thank you very much, Lisa. There's a photograph that is looking a little bit less calm behind Lisa there. It looks as if she's having a wonderful time on the boat heading to Iceland. There's a picture of the front of the ship, and then we've got a nice view of outside the window of a fairly calm open Atlantic. It certainly isn't always flat calm like that, for sure. This is a nice little clip here.
It's a quick video.
So Lisa is currently about just shy of 300 nautical miles to the south of Iceland. Thank you very much, Lisa, for sharing those photographs and clips with everybody here on today's live stream. So what else are we getting here? Nice to see you. Hope you're well. Got Jim tuning in as well. Good afternoon to Jim. Hi, here for a little bit. So thank you very much, Jim, for tuning in. Hope you're having a good weekend, my friend. Is there anybody else saying much? Anybody new that I haven't seen or given a shout out to already? So Yilin Ling says, "Good afternoon, Mark. Still recovering from ER on May the 29th. So yeah, hope you are doing okay, Yilin. Hope that's the right pronunciation, by the way. I do have a tendency to butcher names. I do apologise if that is wrong. So that is Lisa's report from the boat out in the open northeast Atlantic Ocean. I've also mentioned the tropics already. There doesn't appear to be anything still seen by NHC, the National Hurricane Centre, for the next 7 days. So we do have a Julian oscillation at the moment that is enhancing upward motion over the western portion of the Atlantic Basin, but still nothing at the moment. And I shared that in yesterday's video, that there is still no imminent threat of anything developing. There's some convection here. There's a larger envelope of low pressure and convective thunderstorms over Central America here. Sometimes that can spin something on its outer edge over those warm 28 to 30 Celsius waters with the relaxed winds. But we do have some fairly strong wind shear at the moment. Strong easterly winds, a stronger than average Bermuda high at the moment. We've seen stronger easterly winds, and as a consequence, we've actually seen the waters over the central and eastern tropical Atlantic the coolest they've been in some 4 years. So it's around about average in terms of water temperatures over the East Pacific, or the tropical Atlantic as a whole is right around the average. But it is the coolest levels we've seen in about 4 years, and obviously 23 and 24 was exceptionally warm, record-breaking warm waters in the tropical Atlantic. But it's quite different this year, and it'll be interesting to see if that continues. So no threat, like I say, in the Atlantic over the next 7 days, according to NHC. We've still got Dalila over the East Pacific, just off the west coast of Mexico. Winds currently sustained at 50 miles per hour, pressure at 99 millibars, moving in a northwesterly direction at around 9 miles per hour. We've also got a system with a 60% chance of development over the next 7 days off the South American coastline. In terms of global tropics, this is off the CIMSS website, and you can see that there's nothing in both the Indian Ocean or the West Pacific. So things are relatively quiet at the moment in terms of the Northern Hemisphere. We've actually only got two standout things going on, that invest area of South America, Central America, and we've also got that the tropical storm Delilah off the west coast of Mexico. So let me see here how temperatures are looking in terms of the anomaly over the last 15 days. So the midway point of June we've reached, and there is, interestingly, quite a lot of cool in this chart here, as well as warmer than average. You can see here that we have got large swathes of central and eastern Australia below average. So let's go quickly into the continents and get a closer up view. So quite a large area of northern and southeastern Australia is actually firmly colder than average. Hotham is a ski resort in, I believe it's in Victoria. High in the mountains, I get that. It's now early winter down in Australia, but we've been seeing some exceptional snowfall in recent days. They've been digging out. They've got the runs all open now, and it's off to a very good, healthy start in terms of the ski season down in southeast Australia, which is good news. You can see here, Western Australia is somewhat warmer than average. Moving across the Pacific to South America then, and you can see that we're generally warmer than average across the majority of Brazil. We've got cooler than average both Uruguay, Paraguay, far southern Brazil down towards Porto Alegre. We've got below average conditions. Northern Argentina, colder than average. Parts of Peru, there's a mixture of both warmer and colder. Same goes for Venezuela and Colombia. We've got warmer than average the further south you go over Argentina. But you can see a bullseye of warmer than average firmly over the heart of central Brazil. Looking then at the African continent, and we've had some significant cold actually down in parts of southern Africa. We've also got significant cool across eastern Libya into parts, well, pretty much all of Egypt. Also, northern portions of Sudan has been firmly colder than average through the first half of June. Then look at even into the Arabian Peninsula. Granted, we've got warmer than average across Syria, Iraq, into Lebanon. But you can see here much of Saudi Arabia into Yemen and Oman and the United Arab Emirates has actually been below average, despite having a very hot mid to late spring here. It's been actually below average in terms of temperatures. Over the Persian Gulf into Iran, we've also got below average conditions here as well. And that extends into Pakistan and the Indian subcontinent. So speaking of subcontinent, this is a look at Asia, if I can find it. There we go. So look at southwestern China. This region has been firmly below average for a long time now. We have seen a sharp drop-off in terms of the monsoon. It got off gangbusters early in mid-May. It was earlier than usual. We had large-scale, widespread showers, thunderstorms. Manjulian oscillation was moving through the Indian Ocean. That enhanced the monsoon and the early onset. And we've seen a very cool but record wet May for the whole of India. Look at this first half of June. It's actually aging more kind of a mix of slightly below average but warmer than average. Look back at May. Look at the difference here in terms of the temperature anomaly. So this was May. You see here firmly colder than average across the majority of India, with the exceptions of the far northwest. Andhra Pradesh region here, northern Gujarat, I think as well, is in that region of northwestern India. But the difference between May and the first half of June is very notable. But that's because we've seen more in the way of a lack of cloud cover, lack of rain, more in the way of sunshine, and therefore warmer than average temperatures as a consequence of that. So this is Asia. You can see here moving into parts of the central and west central Asia region has been below average. Back in May, if we go back to that, look at how much warmer it was across the Middle East, extending into Iran, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan. This region was cooking during the month of May. It's actually below average through the first half of June. And then when you look at Europe, it's also interesting here. We had a firmly warmer than average May, but we started off quite chilly across Europe here. So if we look at this is now, we are starting to see temperatures going from below average through the first week to above average into the second week of June across the UK and Ireland. Looking back at the month of May, then you can see here, cool central and east, warmer west. This is how things are looking. We've got a warmer central and southern Europe, cooler across parts of Scandinavia and the UK. But that is going to change. We are turning warmer than average. Remember what I've said for the June outlook. Cooler and somewhat wetter the further north you go over the UK, including Iceland. It's below average up here as well. But warmer and drier the further south you go over the UK. I think that the UK as a whole is going to be warmer than average, but possibly a drier south, wetter north. That is what I expect to see in terms of the temperature and rainfall anomaly. So we've got currently 23 concurrent viewers. A massive thank you. Perhaps you've just joined in. If not, you've maybe been here from the beginning. A massive thank you for sticking by and listening to what I've got to say this weekend. Listen to the dulcet tones as usual. But I hope it's of interest anyway, what I am sharing with you. Look at North America then for the month of June so far. Even Greenland firmly below average across the majority. Alaska's been an interesting one. If we look back at the month of May, how cold compared to average it was in May, even back into April, well, it was warmer than average in April. You can see here that May was colder than average through the first half of June. It's been, especially along the Brooks Range, very cold compared to average here. In fact, if you look at this tweet here by Thierry Goose, very cool start to June in Alaska. The June 1 through 10 period was coolest for Talkeetna. That's it. I'll get there in the end. Talkeetna, coolest since 1965. So this is based on the first 10 days of June. Talkeetna, coolest, I'm getting there now. Coolest since 1965. Dead Horse, easier to say. Coolest since records began back in 1968. Anchorage, coolest since 1973. Bethel, coolest since 77. Golcana, coolest since 86. And Bettles, Fairbanks, and Tanana, coolest since 2006. But like I say, there is actually a heat warning now in effect for the Fairbanks area. Temperatures getting into the high 20s or mid to upper 80s in Fairbanks. Now, 90 degrees can get reached in the summertime, obviously, in central Alaska. Excuse me, it can get pretty hot, I have to say. But yes, let me just see here if there's anybody else saying much. Frogs Legs Matthew saying, I'm not looking forward to the heat, especially with that full up feeling. So yes, we will. I'll always forget something. I always manage to forget something in these streams. So I will try and remember to get to everything here. So that we've spoken about the tropics. This, by the way, is down in Southeast Australia. I was talking about the cooling average, the fast start of the ski season in Victoria, parts of New South Wales. This was a tweet here by Hodham. This is their Twitter handle from June 9th. That's 70 centimetres of snow, by the way. So epic snowfall in the mountains, the Highlands, the Australian Alps, I think is their appropriate name. So a pretty big dig out, it has to be said, at the ski resort. I get the fact that it's in the mountains. I understand that because I know people are going to jump and say it's Australia. Even in the winter time, in the high mountains, you do get snow. I get that, but nevertheless, it's quite interesting to see. This is a tweet here by on June 10th. Storm total 70 centimetres, and the village chair set to spin. The storm has cleared, leaving a massive 70 centimetres of snow blanket in the resort. The village chair opens tomorrow, which was, I think, a couple of days ago. No, this is a few days ago. And Heavenly Valley is in the works. Stay tuned. So check this out.
Hey crew, how are we doing? Hello, do we want to know a secret? Village tomorrow. Woo!
So that's from Hodham Ski Resort in Victoria, Australia. So good on them. Is anybody missing the snow? We didn't get an awful lot, especially mid to late winter, it has to be said. It's been a very poor late winter and spring in terms of snowfall across the UK, including the Scottish Highlands. I drive up and down the A9 each and every weeknight, and for weeks on end now, there's been literally no snow, even up in the highest portions of the Cairngorm Plateau. It's been a pretty disappointing time in terms of snow. So let me skip on here. Then I wanted to show you a tweet here by Dr. Ryan Murray of May. This is another interesting one. I was very keen on sharing with everybody, and I don't want to get into the climate change debate. This is not necessarily what that's about. Yes, it is a global weather report. It is talking somewhat about climate as well, but there is elements about this that is quite interesting. The difference between this May 2025 and 2024 is quite stark. Now, if I can try and find the tweet, it would certainly help. This is it here. Compared to last May 2024, the Earth has cooled by 0.12 Celsius or 0.12 Celsius. The largest cooling was observed in the tropics at almost a half a degree Celsius. The vast majority of Earth's population experienced a cooler month of May compared to last year. So this is the difference between May just gone and May last year. Notably cooler across the continent of Europe, notably cooler across southern and eastern United States, northern Canada, eastern Canada. Yes, we've warmed it across parts of British Columbia, but particularly Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Look at South America. This is interesting. Most of Brazil, most of the northern half of continental South America has had cooler than compared to last May. Again, I'm trying to make sure that I get this right. This is the contrast between last May. This isn't May that's just gone. So the difference is quite notable. Look at Africa as well. Quite a notable change. Look at Australia. Look at India. Look at Southeast Asia, including the maritime continent of Indonesia. Also look at the parts of particularly Mongolia, northern China, firmly colder than what last May was for this part of the world. So an interesting tweet that I wanted to share with you here on today's live stream. So have I covered all the continents? I think I may have. I hope I have. Let me see here. I want to go back to the Australia because you can see here the North Island of. I quite often miss out New Zealand. I do apologise, New Zealand, but you can see here warmer than average on the North Island, but colder than average through the first half of June on the South Island, and obviously winter has now begun. We're now in the first of the 3 meteorological winters down in the southern hemisphere. We've also been talking about some unusual cold across parts of southern Africa. So if we go back to Terry Goose and his Twitter handle, he is based in Vancouver, Canada. You can see here, this is an interesting tweet here. Cold and snow in South Africa, southern Africa, should I say. Not South Africa, but the southern portion of the continent. In Namibia, the temperature plunged to minus 7.9 at Windhoek Airport. I think that's the right pronunciation. Yes, it is at 1,750 metres above sea level, but nevertheless an impressive cold. Even in South Africa, Sutherland, elevation 1,458 metres, had a low of minus 10.5. These aren't record temperatures, but very cold for this time of the year. It snowed in the Highlands, and you can see here some nice snowy images coming out of Namibia in the southern half of Africa, where obviously it is winter time. So we've obviously had a lot of severe weather across parts of the United States. It's been a very poor spring. It's been a stormy early portion to the summer as well. This is the current, courtesy of lightningmaps.org, the current lightning detection over the planet. Very interesting tool. It's real time. You can see here a lot of lightning activity across Texas And across the Gulf Coast in particular, there's a frontal system here, area of low pressure that is now sending a cold front. If we look at the visible satellite imagery, there's that cold front right there. But what we're seeing is a blow up of convection here, is that frontal system with cooler, drier air reaching and bumping into the warm, humid air along the Gulf Coast. We're seeing the eruption of thunderstorms as a consequence of that. It's actually associated with a very deep area of low pressure that is now spinning out over the far open North Atlantic. So it's this trailing frontal system that is creating that vast contrast between warm and tropical and cooler, drier. And here's another up-close view of the visible satellite imagery here. That's that next plume of Saharan dust drifting across the Atlantic. It exited the African continent there back several days ago. It's now edging towards the Leeward Islands and the Eastern Caribbean. So very interesting stuff to look at. We've got the normal convection over the tropical north of South America. We've got the tropical storm Dalila here. There's a close-up view of the system. Quite a messy, ragged look to it. It's going to engage with the more hostile winds, cooler water temperatures, and that system will eventually fall apart. So zooming in, we've got lots of thunderstorm activity over Europe here. So obviously we've been seeing a frontal system that allowed a very significant blow up of thunderstorms over Iberia, then France, into the north of France, the Paris area. Going to try and get to those pictures in just a second here. Southeast England was battered by lightning, very frequent lightning, flash flooding in the Dover area, and also we're now seeing that convection shifting eastwards as we're cleaning the air out. We've got fresher Atlantic air that is now moving eastwards across the continent, and obviously the contrast between warm and cold, we're seeing the convection and the thunderstorms blowing up as a result of that. Let's have a quick look at the current temperatures then across the UK. Fresher compared to recent days. We're still holding on to mid-20s across parts of the southeast of England. We've got 20 Celsius close to Chris's neck of the woods in Cargarth, Aberdeenshire. And we've got fresher conditions in western Scotland, 14s and 15s, southwest and western Highlands. Ireland, Northern Ireland, we're talking about generally 14, 15 in north, with a 17 at Eglinton, I think it is, in Londonderry. And you can see here 17, 18 Celsius, even a 20 down towards the Cork area and Roach's Point. Looking at Europe then, and you can see how it's looking. These are the current temperatures, and you can see the warmth. Now, there's the fresher air. Granted that we are still holding on to some warmth, but we've got a frontal system that is now moving across Germany. We've got plenty of heat still, so look at how different it is. We had the temperatures into the low 30s in Belgium and the Netherlands during the course of Friday and Saturday. Now we're only talking about low 20s as that frontal system has now pushed eastwards, forcing the heat across parts of eastern Germany and western Poland. So we've got that fuel for that frontal system edging eastwards. You've got that fuel then for it to tap into, and you get the explosive thunderstorms as a consequence of that. So that's the current temperatures across the continent of Europe. Let's move further afield then. These are the current temperatures. Because it's a global weather report, we do look at the global picture. Excuse me, these are the current temperatures across North America at the moment here. We're still obviously early in the day, especially the further west you go, the time continues to go back the way, which naturally is the case. But you've got the fairly warm temperatures across central and southern United States, and somewhat fresher air across much of Canada, with even some sub-freezing temperatures across northern Quebec, for example. Looking in Australia then, obviously the temperatures are much lower now at this time of the year, particularly chilly across parts of Victoria and New South Wales, as can be seen here, a little bit warmer, obviously, as you head up towards the tropical north, and then Indonesia, Papua New Guinea and whatnot. We've got obviously the normal mid to high 20s, pretty much 24/7. So that is the current lightning across many areas of the planet. Plenty of thunderstorms, Central Europe, with that divide in air mass. Let's zoom out. Is there any other interesting activity? We've actually got quite a lot of lightning activity across parts of Morocco into northwestern Algeria and also into the tropical regions of Africa. Lots of convection, both east and west of the South America, Central America region. There's those thunderstorms that are blowing up over North Texas, along the Gulf Coast. Lots of lightning being detected, and then just off the southeast coast, we've got plenty of lightning to speak about as well. We've even got some lightning being detected over parts of Labrador, which is quite interesting. And then we've got some thunderstorm activity across parts of, in a spotty nature, across parts of eastern China and down into the tropics between Australia and Asia. But it's obviously the overnight period here, so thunderstorm activity tends to relax. Looking then at what else can I show here? In terms of temperatures, we've looked at Australia. Let's have a look at weather obs, and we'll just have a quick look at this. Try and zoom out to get a bit more of a global view. Obviously, we've got plenty of stifling heat across parts of northern Africa around the Sahara and the sub-Saharan region. Got the temperatures approaching the mid-40s in central Saudi Arabia at the moment. Here we've got 46 across the far north. Even Baghdad's actually 45. We've actually got a lot of heat back into the Middle East at the moment here. So stifling heat, but it's mid-June. It's summertime. But yeah, these are temperatures that are considered firmly warmer than average at the moment here. So it's been a cool first half of June. That's about to turn around by the looks of it, given the fact that we've got temperatures into the mid to high 40s here. So let me see here what else I can show, and then we will have a quick look at the UK, Ireland, and European weather pattern for the upcoming work week. So again, record-breaking temperatures across parts of the near continent. It was a very toasty end to the working week across, especially the near continent, France in particular. Very hot day in France with up to 37 on reliable stations. In some places, it's unprecedented for the first half of June. Also 34.9 in Switzerland with very high temperatures in the mountains. Next week will be even hotter. We will look at that in just a few minutes, by the way. Again, I talked about Alaska. We've talked about Australia. More or less the same in the Yukon. Still no 20 Celsius. So this isn't in reference to the chilly Alaska temperatures that we've seen through the beginning of summer so far. Still no 20 Celsius in many stations like Beaver Creek, Burwash, Landing, Faro, Haines Junction, Rock River, Teslin, Watson Lake, or Whitehorse. So still no 20 Celsius in some of these northwestern stations of North America. But meanwhile, further south, we've been seeing temperatures close to 40 Celsius, for example, in parts of British Columbia. So, yeah, that is rather interesting. Summer forecast will be warmer than average across much of the Northern Hemisphere. This is a tweet here by Ben Knoll. Always very interesting, actually. This is based on, by the way, the super blend of models with the ECMWF and the UK Met Office. This is the forecast for July through September. You can see here plenty of warmth on that chart for sure. There is a small opportunity, by the way, of the La Nina trying to redevelop. We're neutral at the moment. We've got a mix of warmer versus colder than average through the eastern and central equatorial Pacific. But there is some models indicating that we may actually see a slight cooling of those waters in Nino region 3.4, which may push the neutral back towards a La Nina once again. In terms of dryness, this is how Canada is looking in terms of the drought monitor here. So we're not really in drought across southern portions of Ontario and Quebec into the Canadian Maritimes. Newfoundland looks as if it's in good stead, but the central and western Canada looks as if we've got a dry situation starting to develop here, which may encourage heat. In terms of Europe, in terms of drought, we've still got this chart to speak about. So this is how the continent is looking. European continent is looking in terms of the drought situation here. And despite that very wet final week to 10 days of May, The UK is still in a watch zone in terms of dryness, especially the further south you go. And the concern is, with higher pressure, more in the way of sunshine, an increase, this is important, the increase in evaporation rates, we need to watch out for an uptick in level of heat. That is my concern. With drier soils, you have less in the way of moisture within the atmosphere, less in the way of the sun's energy being distributed in terms of heating as well as evaporation. If you've not got much moisture, a lot more sun energy can be used directly into heating the lower atmosphere as opposed to evaporating the soils. So that is the reasons why I think I'm concerned about significant, notable heat surges this summer, especially during the first half of the summer. There is opportunities for some significant heat, but Europe is not looking particularly great in terms of the drought situation. Southern Europe is actually looking not too bad, but when you get into Central Europe here, and even into parts of southern Scandinavia, Denmark as well, we've got some dry conditions here to speak about, and that is somewhat concerning. So that general orange is a watch. The orange, the darker oranges, is a warning, and the red specks that you can see is an alert. So basically, the what is this? Anyway, the European Global Drought Observatories says that 40% of the 27 EU territories, without including Madeira, the Azores, and the Canary Islands, plus the United Kingdom, is a warning condition here. 3.3% is an alert in terms of drought. And if we look at the upcoming 7 days of the models here, let's have a look at the weeklies of the CFSV2. Quickly look at Europe. This is how it's looking over the next 7 days. So high pressure, bang slap over France. Couldn't be more central over France. The Low Countries and more or less all of England and Wales is under that purple, which represents the anomaly in terms of atmospheric pressure at 500 millibars here. So that's a very prominent area of high pressure. That then suggests drier than average, as can be seen here. So you can see here the yellows represent drier than average conditions over the next 7 days. And in terms of the temperature, and we'll look at the 850s in a little second. Temperature anomaly wise, it's generally warmer than average. You can see here out over the North Sea and over the Atlantic, it's actually showing below average temperatures. But particularly across parts of central and eastern England, we've got some of those darker reds representing temperatures are good 2.5 to nearly 3.5 Celsius warmer than average over that 7 day period. Look at France, look at Iberia, brutally hot conditions coming up this week. If we move on to week 2, you can see here the heat relaxes a little bit. Let's have a look at the 500s in week 2, which is the period between the 22nd and the 29th of June. The high, you notice that the high is shifting more out over the Atlantic, which is interesting. That still promotes, by the way, drier than average. So this is how it's looking, still indicating drier than average. And with increased evaporation rates, you're increasing the level of dryness overall. And then into week 3, it's still showing drier than average. This is now taking us into nearly the first full week of July. Look at the pressure at 500, and you can see here again, generally high pressure and control. It's a southerly positioned high, so therefore need to watch out for systems riding around the top of the high in the perhaps northern portions of the British Isles here. And in terms of temperature anomalies for the same period, generally warmer than average. I think we are going to see that warmer overall for the month of June. Wetter the further north you go, drier the further south you go. I'm reasonably confident that that is going to be the case. So let's have a quick look then at the weathercharts.com site, and we'll quickly look at the ECMWF. We will have a quick look at the temperatures of some of the models for the upcoming week in a second or two. What time are we at? We're 4:45. We're doing quite well time-wise. So let's have a quick look then. Let's zoom out. So this is off the ECMWF. Area of low pressure just to the northeast of the British Isles at the moment. Westerly winds here, bringing something a little bit fresher in. Still felt quite humid, I think, out there. I was saying to my wife that it was looking still somewhat, it felt still quite muggy, actually. There's that area of high pressure at 1029 millibars over Biscay. Notice how it's building in from the south, settling things down across England, Wales, and much of Ireland and Northern Ireland. We've got those glancing frontal systems that are moving across the top of the high. So therefore, we've always got a wee bit more in the way of breeze and spells of rain across the West Highlands, Northern Highlands of Scotland here. But generally, England, Wales is in the clear. And there's the high then really kind of bodily building in over the British Isles as of late next week. Now, have that high, like it's showing here off the ECM, slip a little bit to the east. Area of low pressure then approaching from the southwest. Need to keep an eye on some of that heat that's over Spain and Portugal. So if I put on the 850s here, you can see that the warmth is then sneaking back in. And this could be a notably hotter than what we've seen back at the end of this week. That could be notable towards next weekend here. Still a way off. There is still opportunity for back and forth in the model here. That's the ECM. Let's have a quick look at the comparison of the GFS. You can see here that that's showing it as well. So that's another thing. Let's have a quick look at I don't know how far the icon actually goes out in terms of the model. It only takes us out to about Friday. But again, look at this here. It's indicating that surge of heat. Have the high building over the head across the UK and Ireland. Then it slides slightly to the east. Area of low pressure approaching from the west. Now, the UK got away with it this time around because we had that low very close to the British Isles. So we didn't even hit 30 Celsius. I think 29.4 was the warmest temperature that was seen in southeastern England. But had that low been further west, we would have been in that low to even mid-30 temperature range that was seen across northern France, the Low Countries, and parts of western Germany. So I think the problem is that area of low pressure towards the end of this upcoming week may not be anywhere near the UK. It then creates an open door for 15 to 20 Celsius at 850, moving up over the UK and Ireland. We're going to get warm towards the end of next week. I know people are going to enjoy it. There's people that are going to enjoy it. There's people that are not going to like it one bit, and I'm aware of that. Let's have a quick look then at the UKV model here and see what it's showing in terms of the temperatures. Let me just see here. Maximum temperature. Let's see what it's indicating here. Play it through the loop. Get rid of this advert. So by the time we reach Monday even, so tomorrow, we're still talking about 25, 26 Celsius. Quite widespread. I think even across parts of Yorkshire yesterday, we still got to 26 point something in parts of South Yorkshire yesterday. So that warmth still extended well to the north, up over the eastern side of England. And I think we are going to probably manage to get into the 30s towards the end of next week here. So this is Tuesday. Again, we're talking about mid to even high 20s. This is Wednesday. And we're ticking the temperatures up to 27, 28 possible. Then the following day, it only takes us out to Thursday. But there you go here. So we're talking about 28, possibly 29 Celsius down towards Paul's location down in Hampshire. We're talking about 28, 29 Celsius. And the heat is going to continue to build. Not so confident just yet about the northern UK here. It depends on frontal systems, cloud cover, etc., etc. But yeah, this is certainly worth paying close attention to. And before I forget, let's have a look and see some of the images that I've seen on Twitter. This, by the way, is some pretty cool images. This is from Sussex Weather UK and the Southeast on Facebook of the storms back on Friday evening. That looks as if it's out over the English Channel. So amazing lightning displays over both the land as well as the water. Let me just see. This here is from Extreme Weather on Facebook, showing the lightning and a shelf cloud, beautiful shelf cloud. I think there was one that rolled over Paris as well. Some big time supercells over the north of France back on Friday night here. I want to show you these here. This is from Peter Cornwell, based in a classic Kent Clipper, says Peter, pictures from Eastbourne in East Sussex. So let's have a look and see some of these images from Peter. So there we go here. Beautiful shots of the lightning. So showing these as promised. Let's see here. Another one here. Another nice shot here of the lightning. Big cells. Big cells blew up. Perfect environment, rich environment for, very volatile, very powerful thunderstorms here. Some of these going up in excess of 30, 40, 50,000 feet, well above the cruising altitude of an aircraft, by the way, so planes have to fly around these cells. They can't go above them because they're simply too high. Let's have a quick look at my Twitter handle here, and I'll try and show a couple of other interesting images here. And again, the monsoon is now starting to crank across parts of India. This is Pune in India. Some pretty wild conditions here. That is rain, by the way. I know we've seen some amazing rain in the southeast. This here, moving back to the point. This is in Rouen in the north of France, by the way. Wow. That's like something you would see over the Great Plains of the United States, isn't it? Look at the lightning. The power of nature. That's one thing that I miss living in the northern UK, is the fact that we don't really get that much in the way of thunderstorms. We get them now and again, but not very often. Estefex, by the way, had a level 2 warning that was in northeastern Spain and then across the central swathe of France. This was back, I think, yesterday, if I'm right in saying. And also an interesting one as well. We've obviously had the dominance of Canadian wildfire smoke across many areas of Europe, in fact, over the last week. But there's been a mixture of both Canadian wildfire smoke, which is in pink, but also Saharan dust lifting north from Africa. So we've certainly been seeing all sorts of air mass, dust, smoke, pretty much you name it, we have had it over the last week or so. Pretty incredible. This is Bertrand, I think it is, Kulik. I hope that is the right pronunciation. Kulik Bertrand, based in Paris, showing the amazing lightning over the French capital back on Friday evening. And one of those images will feature in my July outlook as well, I may add. This is from Weather Media World here on Twitter as well. Dungeness in Kent. Check this out. It's a beautiful lightning display. It's obviously very destructive. Hail, large hail, flash flooding. There's your 29.4. Temperature was peaked at. We had temperatures into the mid-30s across parts of Belgium in the last few days, but somewhat fresher air is now moving into the west of Europe here. Let me just see if there's anything else that I can show very quickly. And then we will probably try and round up. There was one more image that I wanted to share. Yes, here we go. This is from MetWatch of the thunderstorms in the southeast. Camber Sands. Friday night. Isn't that cool? Isn't that amazing? Yes, I wish we had that, but unfortunately not. So we know that we're going to see a higher pressure building in as we progress through the course of this work week. We're probably going to see the first 30s of 2025 towards the end of the working week. We've got frontal systems that will bring more unsettled weather across the far northwest of the British Isles, but generally speaking, higher pressure, drier than average, doesn't mean we don't see rain, but we will see a drier than average theme. And there is also some surges of heat. Now, there is model runs that are going to the extreme towards the very end of June. It's a long way off. They're probably overcooking the heat, but the fact that the models are showing it, and we've seen it happened in 2022, I wouldn't necessarily completely bin the idea, but I think the environment overall is conducive for more potent, more extreme, more notable heat than what was seen any time last year and even the summer before that as well. The Indian monsoon is now starting to become much more active, more widespread, thanks to the MJO. So, yes, thank you very much once again for tuning into the weekend live stream. I love doing it. It will continue through the next several weeks and months. I don't have any anticipation of any cancelled one. I don't think I've got any plans in the immediate future. So they will continue each and every Sunday, probably at the normal time of 4 p.m. Obviously, a full European outlook schedule coming up Monday to Friday this week. It will be interesting talking about the heat and some of the finer details, talking about the Manchulian oscillation and how that affects the hemispheric pattern as well. So I hope you're enjoying the content here on Marvin Weather. Nothing as it seems is tuning in as well. Good afternoon to yourself. We've got Hazel, we've got Frog's Eggs, Matthew, we've got Paul James. Massive thank you to Paul for moderating today's stream. Thank you to Lisa Pattenden out in the open northeast Atlantic on her way to Iceland. Thank you for your weather reports and updates and images that you've sent in for everybody to see. Thanks for Yilin for tuning in as well. And have I forgotten anybody else? I know Lindsay is in the background somewhere. I don't know if she has appeared on the live at the moment. Glory to Jesus. Thank you very much as well for tuning in. And have I forgotten anybody else? No. So, hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your Sunday dinner if you happen to have a roast. And even if you're not having a roast, enjoy it anyway. And yes, I'll be back as usual at just around 5 p.m. tomorrow with the European Outlook. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button before you leave today's stream. And if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button as well. It doesn't cost you a single penny. Bye for now.